For more than 3 decades, organizational guru Dean Meyer has been outspoken about building entrepreneurship into every level of organizations. It's what he calls the business within a business paradigm. Dean is an executive coach. He facilitates organizational change projects as a consultant. And in his spare time, he's written 7 books, including one on how to change corporate culture in less than a year, and another on the science of organization charts. He's also been a pioneer in applying principles of market economics inside organizations. It's to make sense of things like budgeting, priority setting, and cost management processes. Now, in his latest book, Internal Market Economics, he explains exactly how to do that, how to improve financial decision-making, save money through shared services, make the proper use of outsourcing vendors, cut through the bureaucracy, induce internal entrepreneurship, and more. As you can see, it's gotten fantastic critical acclaim. People say it's breakthrough thinking, yet readable, practical, even inspiring. Here's Dean to give you a quick overview of his book, Internal Market Economics.
Hi, I'm Dean Meyer. In the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a summary of the book, Internal Market Economics, why you might be interested, the concepts, and practical steps to implement highly effective financial and resource governance processes. First, why should you care about internal market economics? Well, you don't need to promise the impossible and do more with less. You don't need to accept customer expectations far beyond what your resources can deliver. You don't need to tolerate vague accusations that you cost too much or unfair comparisons to outsourcing. You don't need to get dragged into political debates over cost allocations. You don't need to live with a lack of executive perception of the value you deliver. You don't need to hold your breath and pray for year-end money to fund critical infrastructure and innovation investments. And you don't need to design complex, bureaucratic demand management processes to solve these problems. You see, all of these problems are created by traditional financial processes. But now we understand how to solve all these problems with a new breed of highly effective business-driven processes for budgeting, for rate setting, priority setting, and demand management. The breakthrough came when we applied principles of market economics inside organizations. We view your organization as a business within a business, and the people throughout the enterprise who benefit from your products and services are your customers, your marketplace. In market economics, customers get to decide what they buy, and they have to live within their means. You as the supplier are responsible for helping them see their opportunities and their choices, for offering them the best deal, and for delivering what they choose to buy with reliability and quality. The concept is common sense. We all believe in market economics in the real world, but of course the hard work was in figuring out practical methods and tools to implement that vision. It took me 20 years of study, but now we're there. So here's how internal market economics works. First, forget about allocating your costs to the business. You don't go to the grocery store and get a bill for your fair share of rent, electricity, and checkout clerks, perhaps based on the number of people in your family or other cost drivers. Like a store, your business within a business needs to price its products and services. Of course, that's pretty obvious if you charge your customers fee for service for what they buy, but you do not need chargebacks, that is actual money changing hands, to implement market economics. Let's say you get budget directly through the annual enterprise budget process. Now, some of that is for your benefit, like investments in innovation and infrastructure, and some of it covers the costs of enterprise goods services, like policies, but the bulk of your budget is meant to benefit your customers. So the key to market economics is to think about your budget in a different way. You're not getting money to pay your costs. Instead, think of your budget as money put on deposit with you at the beginning of the year to buy your products and services all year long. And when you look at it this way, your budget creates a checkbook, and through a governance process that you design, your customers decide what checks to write. Of course, when they use this checkbook to buy your products and services, you get revenues that cover your costs. And now you've implemented market economics without chargebacks. So what if you get funding through allocations, where you assign your costs to business units based on high-level formulas. Allocations are always controversial. From your customer's perspective, they're like taxation without representation. And of course, nobody likes being out of control of their costs, so your customers argue with you about the formulas and try to micromanage your spending to reduce their costs. Meanwhile, they still don't connect the money they pay you to the value they receive, your products and services. Well, you can turn this situation around by thinking of allocations differently, not spreading your costs to the business, but just like direct budget, as prepaid revenues. The allocations flow into a checkbook owned by each business unit. Then you can set up a governance process that empowers each business unit to decide what checks it writes to you. And once your customers are in control, they see the value they get for the money, well, controversies melt away. Of course, these market-based governance processes are predicated on your knowing the costs of your products and services. That has to be the full cost, including overhead and indirect costs, because you never want to ask for money for things that customers don't buy. So you'll need a cost model that links all your costs to your catalog of products and services. A transparent cost model builds trust, and it's the basis for internal market economics. There are two views of that cost model: your budget and your catalog with rates. First, an investment-based budget forecasts the cost of your products and services, what you plan to sell, not just what you plan to spend. This totally transforms the budget dialogue. Instead of debating your travel and training expenses, executives look at the proposed projects and services, and they base budget decisions on the needs of the business and the investment opportunities at hand. As long as your cost model is solid, executives will understand that they get what they pay for. So this takes care of the impossible do more with less demand. Also, your customers will better appreciate the value you deliver for a given level of funding. And a huge benefit to you, you leave the budget process with a crystal clear definition of what products and services your budget does and does not pay for. So that takes care of the problem of expectations exceeding your resources, a surefire recipe for failure. Second, the same cost model can be used to calculate unit costs, that is, rates in your product and service catalog. Rates are the best basis for fair comparisons with alternatives like decentralization and outsourcing, much more realistic than high-level statistics like budget as a percent of revenues or the cost of vaguely defined towers. And rates are used to estimate new projects and services and to generate invoices, whether to collect fee-for-service revenues if you charge back or to track those prepaid checkbooks. Note that the cost model, investment-based budget, and catalog with rates are prerequisite to setting up business-driven governance processes. So the first step in implementing internal market economics is to revamp your annual business and budget planning process to produce an investment-based budget and a catalog with rates. And that step alone has so many benefits. Then once that's in place, you have the foundation for business-driven priority setting, sometimes called portfolio management or demand management. So in a nutshell, that's what's in the book, Internal Market Economics. There's a lot more in there, including the implications for cost control, shared services, outsourcing, and management metrics. And there's lots of detail on how to implement internal market economics, right on down to step-by-step processes and systems architectures. I hope I've convinced you that your financial and resource governance processes are absolutely strategic, as well as the key to addressing a lot of the noise that distracts you from your real mission and damages your credibility. And I hope you find my book useful to help you communicate a clear vision of how things should work and to help you implement practical steps in that direction. Thanks for taking these few minutes to listen to me and to think about your own internal economy.
If you're interested in Dean's book, Internal Market Economics, it's available in both hardcover and Kindle formats on Amazon.com. A quick way to find it is internalmarketeconomics.com. Or you might enjoy a free copy of Chapter 3, The Story of Poor Robert, who followed so-called best practices to his dismay. You might find it amusing and perhaps sadly familiar. It's certain to get you thinking about your current practices. For qualified executives, Dean also offers a complimentary telephone consultation. It could be a great sounding board on your financial and resource governance challenges. So for either the free Chapter 3 or to arrange a telephone consultation, just contact Dean's company, NDMA, at the phone number or email you see on your screen. We hope you found value in this quick overview of internal market economics. Thanks for watching.